Hello, welcome back. This is Groundheimer. We're getting into some fun. This is going to be a movie review for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Now, I got to see it last Friday, just about opening night, but maybe not quite, with my cousin. It was very spontaneous. I was able to go, he was able to go, we were able to meet. We enjoyed the movie. We really thought it was a good movie. I think he said he liked Bumblebee better. I might like Rise of the Beasts better than Bumblebee because there's more than just 3, 4 Transformer characters. Because we have a handful of Autobots. We've got 3 villains. Scourge was an amazing villain. Plus we have some of the Beast War characters. Handful of them. Rhinox, Cheetor, Air Razor, Optimus Primal. So that's 4. I thought there was someone else. Maybe not. And there was an Ape Link. And that was a cool thing. Now, the Beast War characters kind of show up at the beginning, help kind of a setting of where this is going. A Unicron shows up that we saw him teased in the trailer. Notice the music. 86ers. You're going to enjoy the background music of hearing the Unicron theme again. In the meantime, I'm not a fan of hip-hop. Okay, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, Aerosmith, Journey, Men at Work, Go-Go's, Joe Walsh, Kansas. Oh gosh, I could see one album and I can't. A Foreigner, all those kind of groups, Heart, etc. And that's what I like to gravitate to. Sometimes Dan Fogelberg. Some of the soft, all the Casey Kasem of a bygone era that not many people remember. When local stations, before they got bought out by corporate stations on the West Coast and started buying up everything, that you turn on a radio station and it was a true mix. You would hear everything from country, maybe folk, movie music, soft rock, whatever, everything. That's how radio stations used to be, and to me should be. So anyway, there's the music of the day for the 90s was a lot of hip hop. That was one type, and that's what takes precedent here in this movie. I think there was about 3 or 4 songs that we hear, and one of them was actually okay for me. The rest, I was just like, oh, this is cringe for me. But it fits the style of the movie. It fits what's going on. If you grew up in that era, you're gonna love it. It's just not my thing. Okay, I'm not knocking it. I've tried, and there's some early rap music of the 80s that I kind of liked. I don't know who is who. I didn't keep up with it or buy any of it, but there is some rap that, normally if it's pretty clean and just fun. I like fun music, or sometimes music with a story, but I just like fun stuff for the most part. So the hip hop kind of turned me off a little bit. Like I said, there was one song in the movie that I actually kind of dug. It was okay. See, I'm an old fogey, but when it comes down to it, we have more characters than Bumblebee. The Transformer personalities that they put into these characters is so much better than all the other iterations of Transformers that we had before. At least, we got to see Shatter and Dropkick really have some cool personalities with their interaction with John Cena and whatnot in Bumblebee. So there's that. So, and they when they rebooting this, and it is a true reboot because Unicron is not Earth, like in Transformers: The Lost Night, which I didn't see until I rented it free from a library to see the movie. And anyway, another good thing about Rise of the Beast is it's short. It's not 3 hours. It's not 2.5 hours. It's just under 2 hours. You add the credits in, it's probably a little over 2. So it seems a lot shorter. It moves along pretty well. The first half of the movie is a little dull. They're setting up the human characters, Noah and Elena, which you're going to love and be rooting for by the end of the movie. Even though a lot of people just like, oh gosh, human characters, oh no. But yeah, it's a diverse cast, but they're great. They just are. They fit the movie. I like the actor playing Noah. I feel like I've seen him in something. In Elena, you're going to be rooting for these guys by the end of the movie. And Elena is very integral to the very end of the movie, because at first, once we got to a certain point, I'm thinking, and they're spending the night at literally a village in somewhere in South America, and I'm thinking they could have, what's his face, the new big plane could have taken her back to New York. Well, they end up glad they don't, because she has her moment. And it's really cool. And some of the effects are pretty nice. That's another thing. The size of the Transformers are clean. The battles are easy to follow. That's not not as chaotic as some of the Michael Bay movies, which were okay for the most part when it came to the battle sequences. But with this director's take on this, you kind of know what's going on. You're able to follow things a little more. It's not so chaotic to look at. Plus, no shaky cam footage. We're not just Spider-Man simply running around a truck with Sandman piling in it and the camera doing this number. You know, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's the Dramamine? I'm in a huge theater, and everything's in the world is moving. I'm about to throw up. So none of that. You don't have a whole lot of close-ups on all mechanical crap to just see how insectoid the Transformers are looking in the Michael Bay movies. This is a new director, and I think he did a great job. And the CGI looks pretty good. Mirage takes center stage instead of a Bumblebee for a change. Unfortunately, Bumblebee is still talking through a almost cursed radio. And I'm like, really? Again? Just get Will Friedle or somebody and give him a stupid voice, please. But again, he's doing that. Bumblebee is not taking center stage. Mirage does. He's awesome. G1 purists are just like, oh gosh, it's not, I can't believe she's a Porsche. She should be Jazz. Why isn't he Jazz? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I hate this movie. I'm gonna walk out in 10 minutes. He's a cool character. I like the name Mirage. It rolls off the tongue a little better. And he's not the Mirage that we know from G1. I'm sorry, Optimus. But the voice acting is good. He's just has so much personality. And when Noah tries to steal him, I'm not going to say why we get to that point or anything to that effect, but that's when the movie just takes it off in a whole new direction. That Transformers bring so much energy to this movie. It's like they really cranked up the energon of the personalities of these characters for a change compared to all the others. Even to me, better than Bumblebee. This could have been called Transformers Mirage Rise of the Beasts, or simply Transformers The Mirage Story, and I would have been fine. I would have gone and paid money to see it, and I'm glad they gave this character center stage, because he was just so cool. It was like thinking back to Trax and Raoul from the G1 show a little bit, and we have now Mirage and Noah, and it works. It's just so cool. And Mirage goes through a couple of reiterations. Things happen, and if there is any kind of transforming them in this movie, it shows. And there is a bit of a kicker referenced because this spaceship thing suit shows up, and I'm thinking, I've seen this. Why does this look so familiar? My cousin, neither one of us really cared for the Armada trilogy. I remember trying to watch it, and it was like Pokemon with Transformers, and it was absolutely terrible. The human characters were terrible. The voice acting was terrible. So I after 4 or 5 episodes I tried, I gave up. I'm like, this is for 5-year-olds. I'm not watching this. But because of the TCG and doing a couple of screenshots, I watched about the first episode of Cybertron, which is, I think, the third season of that of that trilogy. And Kicker's suit shows up. I'll just put it that way. And I'm like, that's where that comes from. So take note of that if you haven't seen the movie. If you already have, maybe you know what I'm talking about, because I'm trying not to spoil anything. So we have Elena, an archaeologist, who is figuring out some stuff, and I'm not saying it's because of her color that she's not getting recognition for what she's doing. She is just an assistant, and she has the knowledge. Someone else has taken her reputation ahead of her, because the other person probably makes more money, whatever. They're trying to make it look like Athene, whatever, because it was the 90s. And by the 90s, things were a lot better than that. I'm sorry. That was more of maybe pre-60s, 70s kind of conception, really. The 80s were getting a lot better in that regard. But nonetheless, let me keep pushing on. The music was good. If you like 90s hip-hop, you're going to love it. Despite the timing of when some certain songs came out. Again, I'm not that big on hip-hop. One song I actually kind of enjoyed. The Transformers personalities were perfect. The voice acting fit. I really liked RC. The one character that everybody's talking about is Wheeljack. He would have been fine if they had just called him Pedro or something else, not Wheeljack. There was one little detail that it's like, well, if they have this information, and the internet is still kind of new, why couldn't the Transformers just send this information to that character in South America and say, hey, look for this? But, we got to see a new character show up, and they all travel to South America, which is where the adventure really picks up, because this is really almost makes me, it's like putting Indiana Jones and Transformers together, and they come up with this, and it's better than anything Michael Bay ever did. It's better than, even probably much better than the Indy 5. Why are they doing Indy 5? But anyway, I digress. So it may be a pretty formulaic plot line for a Transformer movie, but I think it's necessary. I think it works. It keeps things grounded in a way, even if it's a little predictable. And the way this movie goes into the direction it goes is really setting up for some fun stuff to come, is all I'm gonna say. And I'm really interested in somebody finally gets a job. I'll just say Noah. It's all about Noah trying to get a job, and he finally does get a job. I'm not spoiling how, where, or when, or what, or who. Elena finally gets her recognition, and Optimus has his personality arc of him with dealing with trust. Mirage has his story, and I really felt, the Beast War characters did not take center stage, though the plot is revolved kind of around them and why they are on Earth. I'll just say that, because that's very obvious from the very beginning. In the meantime, the music, if you grew up in the 90s and you love that music, you're going to enjoy it. If you like Transformers, if you liked Bumblebee, you're really going to like Rise of the Beasts, because this is not Beast Wars. This is not G1 Transformers. This is a new iteration of probably a trilogy plus going forward from the reboot of Bumblebee. And I think this is a good direction for these live action movies. Despite, how thin some things as far as the plots maybe go. But the best part of the whole movie is Scourge, the villain. He is so much better than what we had before. Shatter and Dropkick were good. We didn't see Megatron in Bumblebee. We don't see Megatron in Rise of the Beasts. So if Scourge is as bad and awesome as he was, and he looks like a lot like the Tarn toy figure that was released a few months ago. Really, a lot of people, a lot of us on Facebook were like, he looks like Tarn. And there's some truth in that, and that might be the inspiration for this character. Scourge was awesome. Nightbird shows up. Look her up, see where she falls into from the G1 cartoon if you don't know already. And the other one I think is supposed to be Battletrap, though it's not the G1 Battletrap. It's just a name. But that would be really cool if they did something like that. Having a plane look like it's crashing in on a tank or a car, and they just almost morph or transform, into a bot mode. That would be really cool. And having the people in both vehicles, if they happen to be in them, witnessing and going and having to jump out at last minute and just being scared to death that they're about to crash, and they don't crash. And when everybody's in is inside a transformer, that would be really cool, whether it's an Autobot or Decepticon. But so Battletrap is not a Duocon, he's just a Transformer. I don't think he speaks much. Nightbird does. She has some really cool action scenes. They're really good villains overall, and wow, they take on like 4 to 5 Autobots and about 4 Beast War characters. They do some damage. They are just so cool, and they're Terracons, not Decepticons, because they're working for Unicron. And with how Scourge is talking mentally with Unicron, it's very Galvatron Unicron like from the 86 movie. So you're going to see a lot of cool things that are going to make you think of certain things from the IP throughout the years. So there's some neat tributes. There's a few cringe moments. And the whole thing about, I just want to call him Pedro. He's not Wheeljack, but call him Wheeljack. About Wheeljack's accent. Now, all he had to do was go like, dude, I've been living in Peru for 30 years. What do you think? You know, that's all. They could have just done it like that with a joke, and Noah be like, oh, okay. You know, I mean, whoop-de-doo. So what? He has an accent. But maybe that's kind of where they were going with that he didn't think he had an accent, because he has been spending time around these people with accents that they don't think they have an accent unless they go out of their own country. You know, so I don't think there's really anything cringe about that, because we're all different. We all talk differently. There's lots of different languages throughout the world. So I didn't find it offensive or anything. I found it kind of funny, but not in a ha-ha funny. But there's that. But again, that they should have just called that character just something new. Fix it, like Rodimus Primal is mentioned, or something different, or just simply call him Pedro, you know, because that's on the side of his van. And he was not an offensive character. He was just fine. He was another add-on. And it does very look like the Michael Bay Turtle characters. Is what kind of comes to mind. The Donatello character. So it's like, really, people? Because we saw Wheeljack in the first few minutes of the Bumblebee movie, and if they wanted Wheeljack, they should have done that instead, or at least use his head for that character. They didn't do it. But you know, his name, Wheeljack or not, Mirage being Mirage or Jazz, whatever, I like Mirage. I think the name is fun. We get to if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and see it. I've gone way too long. So overall, it's a good movie. It's not a great movie, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again in the theater if I can. Our projection was off. The screen looked a little dark. It could have been a lot brighter. The sound could have been a little louder. So there's some complaints there about the actual theater we were at. Maybe it's starting to show its age or something. It was not one of their newer houses, despite it being a newer movie, which was unusual. So there's that. But yeah, just overall, I liked the movie. I wasn't crazy about the music. some characters didn't talk, or we wish they had talked, or just simply transformed and walked in bot mode instead of walking around in alt mode or beast form. Very many parts where blink and you miss it, whether it's Rhinox in bot mode or the spikes of energon coming out of the ground in the first planet at the beginning of the movie. So a lot of neat tributes. Overall, I'd probably give it a 7.5, maybe 8 stars out of 10. Bumblebee is definitely a solid 8 or 9 stars out of 10. Bumblebee is probably so far the best movie, and I think I like Rise of the Beasts a little better than Bumblebee, just because there's more Transformers, they have more characterization, there was a fun adventure aspect to it, them trying to find the Thenie, or Thenies or whatnot. Overall, it's a good movie. It's not a bad, I wouldn't call it a bad movie. Some people are just dogging it for, hey, it's not G1. Oh, it's not the first 10 minutes of Bumblebee. So whatever the critique is. So go in with it with a giving it a chance kind of thing. Bring your expectations down somewhat. Don't let them be too high. You're going to enjoy the movie, I think. Again, we wish we could have seen more of the Beast War characters. We wish we could have seen them more in bot mode. There were some issues with the plot that I thought could have been a little better, but overall, I want to see it again. I really do. I thought it was done well, even with just being somewhat predictable, kind of a predictable movie. I think that's fine for this, and it's in a direction I think Transformers needs to go. And I don't mean predictability. I just mean a whole story arc altogether. This seems done a lot better than all the Michael Bay mess that we got with those first 5 movies. Now, the first 3 I liked. Yes, I actually like Revenge of the Fallen, and that's going to be a video for another time. So with that, go out and try to see it. Catch a matinee or whatever. Get some popcorn. We did not go to an AMC theater, so not worried about trying to spend $50 on an Optimus Prime popcorn bucket. Give me a break. But it was good, not great, not bad, better than okay. Watch it and make your own decision. We'll see you next time. As always, don't have just a great day, have a blessed day. And as always, peace.